and Docker by default is case sensitive, so it's a tragedy waiting to happen. Okay, so we've got the score container, and what I want to do is I'm going to connect, so our connection, and we'll just underscore that to designate it as something we don't care about. So the underscore connection is equal to connect, and let's grab a reference on ready. So on ready var game state is equal to $root game state. And so we want to connect the game state event signal of score change to ourselves, and we care about on score on game state score change, and let's just format this nicely. Cool. And then we need to write that handler, so that's going to be equal to that, and we're going to get scores and total and so what do we care about? We need some onReady vars. Let's just print this for now and say scores, total. Okay, and now when we become ready, we want to grab a reference to our P1 score, and that's going to be equal to $P1 score, and we'll grab a similar one to player 2, player 2 score. Okay, and we may as well grab a reference to the unclaimed score as well, and that is actually just called unclaimed. Cool. Hold on. One moment. Okay, sorry about that. So, when our score container boots, we grab a reference to player 1 and player 2 scores, as well as the unclaimed scores. And then we listen to this score change event on the game state. And whenever it changes, first of all, we want to say the P1 score.text is equal to scores 0. P2 score.text is equal to scores 1. The unclaimed score.text is equal to total, right? And then we're going to do something a little weird, and I will show you why. So if we have a look at this P1 score, it now has a shrink value somewhere, size flags, stretch ratio. size flags stretch ratio, right? So what we want to do, in fact, I'll edit it in here. So we want to say that the P1 score dot size flags stretch ratio is equal to 1 plus scores 0, and the 1 is just making sure that there's always a minimum size there, right? Otherwise, when the player has nothing, they won't be able to see their own score because it'll be too small. Cool, and then we just say same thing for the unclaimed score. And that's going to be equal to 1 plus the total. What are you planning about? Cool. Alright. So that should now make our scoreboard grow at different sizes. However, what on earth? I don't understand why. Oh, it's emit signal. Oh dear, I'm used to Vue.js. Alright, cool. And then I guess what we're going to need to do is, so as the player zooms along, okay, something has supposed to be has property. Okay, and then when we load the level, we're going to have to count the stars, right? Rigid body 2D. Body. I was sure it was called has property in Godot. Let's have a look. Has property. Oh. So if player number in body, then do that. Right? Cool. And then I think what we need to do is go into the world, and so these collectibles here, go into the star, and we need to assign a group, I think, to these nodes. So we'll say we'll add this book to the stars group. Okay. And then if we go back to the world, we should see that these are all in the stars group. And what we want to do is we want to query Godot get all in group, get tree call group, get nodes in group. Cool. So what we'll do is in the main maybe in the model we'll say func count stars, and this is going to be equal to the stars group, which we'll set as a constant. Okay, so var stars is equal to all the nodes in the group of stars group, and then we'll say return stars.size, and then we will say onReady total stars is equal to count stars. And I guess what we really want is to say getter get set. Maybe we just emit and change from here immediately. Okay, cool. So I don't know if that's going to quite work. Okay, did I actually make 10 stars? No. Didn't think so. Game state. That's not supposed to be player variables, it's supposed to be game state. Okay. And what's happening here? Select star, not start. What's happening here? Another set with int. Okay, so what we want to do is pass this to a string. Okay. No, that doesn't seem to be working. To str. Okay. That's what you say. Str. Cool. So let's pick it up. What's happening now? Oh, that also needs to be a string. Okay. And get that's supposed to be a 1. Cool. So I can now pick up stars for player 1 and player 2. Now, whoop, something happened. Interesting. I see what's happened. So actually, scores, so it's actually scores player -1 because the indices are 0 based. Okay, so that's better because I think player 1 should be probably red and okay, but we're not decreasing. Okay, so the total needs to decrease by the 2 scores. Okay, so let's just update that as well. So in the game state, no, the score container, blah, score container. Okay, so it's not really the total. It's 1 plus the total minus scores 0 minus scores 1. Now I am noticing that the original state is still set to 10, and then so we've got 16 stars on this level. Okay, and then that 15 still isn't decreasing for some reason. Or is it decreasing that the string isn't decreasing? Yeah, okay. So let's just say the var, the unclaimed value is equal to the total minus this, right? And then here we would just say the is equal to the unclaimed, and up here we also need to set this to unclaimed. And then on ready, it's really odd why that's not triggering the beginning of the game. So just have a look. It's because the onReady of this hasn't fired yet. So this needs to be enter tree, right? Because enter tree will fire before the ready event, I believe. Oops. Then when it enters tree, there's no game state available, so we're sort of in a catch-22, aren't we? So in this instance, we can actually do enter tree and set. No, that won't work either. What we can do is it defer? Use a deferred function. Godot deferred, all deferred. So I guess what we'd do is we would just say call deferred, right? And emit change would just be a deferred version of that. And then I think that would allow everything else to, yeah, there we go, reset. And now we can, cool, alright. So now as the players zoom along, they should be able to both pick up some stars, and the score system will keep track of both players' progress. Absolutely cool.